Hello everybody and welcome back to the Good Bit Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in again this week. We are very grateful for your time, and what an incredible film we have to chat about today. It is the classic from 1984. It is The Karate Kid, and who better to join us this week? Well, Mr. Miyagi would be the best person to join us, but unfortunately that's not possible. We have the next best person. It is the incredible Greg Jones. Welcome to the show, Greg. How are you feeling today? What are you up to?
Today is going to be a super nice chilled day. But tonight, just speaking of movies, I'm going off to go and see Jaws in IMAX.
Oh,
I can't wait.
Here we go.
I just can't wait. Yeah, here we go. This is the good stuff. I saw that my local cinema was either doing it in 3D or IMAX, and quite a fair few years ago, I think I had the chance to see it in 3D but missed it. But then as soon as I saw it was in IMAX,
that's going to totally, it'll just take over.
Yeah.
I mean, I managed to Jaws. I normally say Jaws is probably my favourite movie of all time, right?
Really?
Jaws or Star Wars, right? One of the two. And when you say Star Wars, people are like, oh, which one? And then you need to try and, defend yourself, you know?
Yeah. All of them.
All of them, yeah. A New Hope is probably my favourite one. Or Revenge of the Sith. But nice. So those are my favourite, right? So I always say either Jaws or Star Wars. So usually we should say Jaws. So when they've been showing them at the cinema, I was like, I'm going to try and make sure I get there. So I actually saw it in the cinema maybe 2 or 3 times over the last 3 years. So I was like, I'm going to catch it. This time round though, when they're showing classic films, obviously Jaws is on, E.T. I believe is on. So I was maybe trying to catch that.
Yes.
But the one that I saw was Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. I saw it the other night at the cinema.
Yeah. Oh my, but that was an experience.
Are you a Star Trek guy?
See, the thing is, I really want to get into it. I really do want to start watching it. I just don't really know where from. So I've seen, the odds clip on YouTube, and I saw the J.J. Abrams ones, but I've not seen any of the classics. So I do need to. So if you've got recommendations on where to start, that'd be great.
I'm kind of new to it as well. My dad was always a huge fan. So I always kind of watched it through him, but I was like you, I saw the newer ones and I was like, oh, Chris Pine, let's go watch it, But, I wanted to try and get into them fully. And then during lockdown, they had the original TV series all on Netflix. And I was like, I'm going to watch one every day. I didn't quite stick to it, but I wanted to see the films. So it's the first time I saw it the other night. Which is really, really good. And by the way, I don't know how you are in terms of cinema experiences and stuff like that, right? In terms of the kind of vibe that you like in the cinema, if you like it to be busy or if you like it to be really, empty and it's just you.
Yeah. I love going to the cinema. I sound so it's daft, but I love going to the cinema on my own. And I like it when there's not someone sat either side of me. I'm fine if it's a few seats away, but it's just, I always dread, because I had one experience where I went to see a film and somebody had gone to the midnight premiere and then came back the next day and they were saying to the person next to them, oh, this is about to happen. And I was like, oh, yeah, a cardinal sin in the cinema of
That's
spoiling
dreadful.
What is about to happen. It's awful. So I'm always so conscious of anybody around that spoils something. And I remember going to see The Force Awakens when that finally came out in the cinema. I from the moment I stepped out of my car, I had music playing in my earphones all the way until the film began.
Great,
because I just didn't want anybody to say anything in case it spoiled it. I'm just so paranoid when it comes to this. Yes, I love.
Sorry.
So go for it, but sorry.
I was just going to say The Force Awakens is my the one I broke the record for the most times I saw a film in the cinema. I saw it 4 times.
Nice. But I mean, it's the first new Star Wars film we'd had in years and years and years. We've got to see it as many times as we can.
Wanted to experience it, with the sound and stuff like that.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's got to be done. But I've got a list building on my notes app of all of the best seats in each and every screen. So if ever in my local cinema I go to a different screen, I'd make a note of where the best seat is and always try and book that one. That's great. It's so bad.
It's so like that scene in The Big Bang Theory. You seen that? Yes, Sheldon. He's
looking for the acoustic sweet spot. He's just sitting there going, oh.
He's
so
like,
good.
caw, caw.
Yeah.
The other night when I was seeing Star Trek, right? So I just assumed that
Yeah.
this fandom is just as passionate as like Star Wars or whatever, you know. So
Yeah.
there's this moment in Star Trek 2. I don't want to spoil it, right? Obviously, if anyone's not seen it, but it's a particularly emotional moment. Involves a funeral, and you know, this thing. There's a coffin. You know, they're at a funeral.
Yeah.
Scotty's playing the bagpipes, so it's like this quite emotional moment, you know. And there was like this group of people that I don't want to make this sound bad or anything, but they look like Star Trek fans, right? There's, you know, I thought maybe they were like big fans, you know, and they just started laughing. They just like laughing at this funeral scene, but like kind of like cackling. You know when you watch a film like a kind of cheesy film, you know it's like here's a really cringy bit or whatever. You know what I mean? So you kind of laugh. But this was like a serious, emotional moment, and that my dad was raging. He was like, "Imagine laughing at that scene."
Yeah, exactly. Oh no!
So that was that, and then actually 2 nights ago I also saw Spider-Man: No Way Home. They're re-showing like an extended version.
The best bits one where they're like they've put the good stuff back in. Oh, how was it? And what did you think?
It was really good, man. Like, so when I watched it in December last year, I was like, this was great, obviously. And I was like, that's going to be better on the second watch, because sometimes, you know, when you watch something for the first time, you're expecting stuff. With the second watch, you know it's already going to be good. So I wanted to catch it at the cinema again, but I missed it. So the fact it was coming out again, I was like, okay, I'll make sure I see it. But I saw it 4DX. And I mean, we got battered.
Yeah, exactly. It did. Like, you need life insurance if you're going in and seeing something on 4DX. But it's I absolutely, it's how I now go see all Marvel movies. I was a big IMAX person for Marvel, and now it's got to be 4DX.
Yeah,
because like that opening scene when he's spoilers, when he's like swinging through the city and then going down in through the sewers and stuff, when that was moving and the chairs were rocking, it felt amazing. But Top Gun Maverick in 4DX, I think, was one of the best cinema experiences I've ever had in my entire life. That was, if I could try and sell 4DX to anybody out there listening, it's if ever Top Gun Maverick comes out again in that format, just go. Just throw your money on the counter and go, because it was phenomenal. Absolutely amazing.
I would say like the Spider-Man one there, 4DX, was probably my best 4DX one. But before that, I would have told you it was Frozen 2. Because
really?
Because Elsa was like gliding, you know, over the water, and you felt as if you were moving with her. You know, it was beautiful.
That is so cool. And did they get like the snow machine and the wind going and everything?
We were absolutely freezing sitting there, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So brilliant. Obviously right now, and I don't know when I'm going to post this, but there's lots of like the Comic-Con stuff happening. There's like announcements going on with new stuff coming out. Have you got your eye on anything? Are you looking forward to anything coming out very soon?
I can't wait. I mean, I'm a sucker for Pixar. So seeing the because I saw on Twitter today some of the Pixar things that are coming out, and then, you know, we're going to have I think it's the Marvel panel from when we're recording this. I think the Marvel panel's like tonight, our time, I think. So getting to see what's going to be coming up and hearing cast announcements and all that is, it's so exciting. Isn't it a great time to be a cinema lover?
It's just so crazy. Much. You know, I feel like we take it for granted sometimes, you know, because not only is it like all the stuff coming out, but it's the amount of ways that we can watch stuff, you know. It's like just the fact that we have a TV channel that's not a TV channel, that's a streaming service that has so much outlet for, you know, like putting good stuff out.
Yeah, totally is. I mean, you know, I know streaming services get, you know, sometimes they get a bad rep, but think of the amount of content that we would never have had without them. It's just, it is. And I think as well, like during lockdown, when just there wasn't the option at all of being able to go to the cinema. And I remember I got to see Tenet as like one of the first movies that was like post lockdown, and getting to go see that, and everybody sat around masked up, and it felt so strange, but it was this really euphoric feeling of just like being back in like a second home all over again. Because I love going to the cinema, and I missed it so much. And as great as it is watching films at home, there's nothing quite like that actual experience. And I suppose that's then at the expense of streaming services, because you don't get that full experience where everybody dedicates a certain amount of time to go and experience something all together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a magic with cinema that just you can't find anywhere else. It's like when you sit down to go to the theater and the lights come down and then it all begins, and there's something really magical about that. I love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely a cinema guy. I would choose the cinema, over like a Netflix or something. Even though without Netflix and without Disney Plus, we wouldn't have these like Star Wars shows that were coming out and all these new Disney shows. She-Hulk on just now, which I'm really enjoying. And then the new one is Andor, right? The new,
of course,
the Rogue One series.
Oh, I can't wait. Rogue One, I think, is my favorite Star Wars movie. So
really,
as much as I adore the original trilogy, and there are elements of the prequels and the sequels that I really love, but there was something about Rogue One that just felt just awesome. I mean, not only do you have this incredible like heist story and this band of characters that you love, but then we have that corridor scene at the very end, and it was just, that was cinema gold.
Yeah, they found a way to it's like Darth Vader's most I don't want to spoil anything. Darth Vader's most violent, brutal kind of moment,
totally.
Of all the films.
Yeah, because Vader always, and I'm sure at the time when they actually came out, he was a very scary and imposing character. But as time's gone on, when you watch those scenes back, he still feels like a threat, but he doesn't feel scary. But they managed to make Vader seem like a horror villain. And that was so well done, like so incredibly well done.
I think Vader sometimes is looked at as a bit of a meme these days because it's all over, the internet and stuff like that. But although when you do watch the films, he's still a big threat and stuff, and he's an iconic villain. But you do, some of the cheesy lines and stuff like that, whereas the newer stuff, even the stuff in the Kenobi series, was really brutal.
Dark, totally. And I think as well because, for the past 30 odd years that we've seen him on so much merchandise and posters, and I think the image of him we're so familiar with and we're so used to that it doesn't quite feel as terrifying as seeing Freddy Krueger on something or Michael Myers, you know what I mean? So we're so used to that image that it doesn't feel as scary. But when they utilized it in Rogue One, where he's in it very, very briefly, and he just appears out of the darkness and just massacres these troops.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. I remember sat there just going, yes, Vader! Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What I loved about Rogue One is the fact that it's, standalone, obviously, which leads into A New Hope. But I didn't quite anticipate how much it would lead straight into A New Hope, if you know what I mean. I just thought it was going to be its own wee thing. But the fact that it's they're almost recreating moments before the opening of that film, that was the thing that got me,
Yeah, it's beautiful. You could literally just stop the film, start A New Hope, and it's seamless.
Yeah.
Oh,
there is a YouTube video. Someone's done it. Someone's tied it up, so it's a link's right in. Yeah, and then obviously the quality dips a little bit, but it's still quite, it's still quite smooth,
Yeah.
So that's gonna be really good. And I think the Andor series is set before it, right?
Yes, I think it is because this is
right.
I think from what I've read that it's now the beginning of the Rebel Alliance. And that's exciting to to see where it begins. It's going to be really, really exciting. I mean, it's gutting because we eventually know what's going to happen to certain characters. But it's nice that I mean, it was the same with Obi-Wan, you know what I mean? But it's nice that we get extra bits added to the story. But can't wait.
When was the last time you got to the cinema? Was it for Top Gun or was it for anything?
It was last night. literally last night. Me and my other half Lucy went to go and see How They Run. So I think yesterday was the first day it was out. But we went to go and see it, and it was brilliant. Really great whodunit. It was very, very self-aware. It was very it played to the meta, and it was so funny as well. And it was really nice to see this plethora of comedic actors that you don't instantly go, oh, it's them. And it's not this super, super, super famous name, but they're just some of just some of the best comedians that are around, and yet they just appear, and you would never think that they were just going to churn out these kind of performances. It was brilliant. It was so, so good.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I saw
Definitely
the trailer.
recommend
And
it.
it looked really funny. Is it Saoirse Ronan and Sam
Saoirse
Rockwell?
Ronan and Sam Rockwell. Yeah, and do you know, it's a pairing I never thought would have worked as well as it did, but it was so good because Sam Rockwell's character is very kind of it's just a complete grump, and then Saoirse Ronan's character was so funny and was just the heart of the entire film. And I loved getting to see her do comedy stuff as well.
Right.
Because of late, we're so used to seeing her doing quite serious stuff and dramas. And it was great to see her just absolutely dominate the screen through comedy.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, she was really good in Lady Bird. She was really funny in that as well. That was brilliant. Even Sam Rockwell in Three Billboards is really funny. Obviously in a darker kind of way.
Well, much darker.
You know,
but
the film actually from the trailer looked a bit like a Wes Anderson film. The kind of like style of the,
it does.
You know,
it really, really does. Apart from everything being like smack bang in the center of the screen, everything felt a bit like a Wes Anderson. Even the choice of music, the speedy cuts, and the quite like artsy style of it as well.
Yeah, I like that.
But it was such a good film, like so good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. There's actually a few things coming out soon that I'm like, I'm going to try and catch that. You know.
Yeah. Things like "Don't Worry, Darling" are coming out soon as well. I'm so excited to see that.
And why did Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine? That's what we need to know.
I thought he dropped a goat on him, or was it like? Yeah, the one that I love is a Twitter account where somebody takes scenes from films but edits a velociraptor to be edits a velociraptor's head onto it. But what they did for this scene, of Harry Styles coming and sitting down next to Chris Pine, is they did the Dilophosaurus with the frills from Jurassic Park, and they had him come over, spit on him. There's all this black goo all over him. Like, how does someone sit there and take the time to edit this? Exactly.
Yeah. Bro, you know, when you're in the industry and you're like kind of editing stuff on your own, you're thinking this takes forever. Never mind something like that.
Yeah. Having to edit a Dilophosaurus onto Harry Styles to spit on Chris Pine. I know.
Yeah, man. It's the internet's wild. Let's chat about you for a bit then. So what about when you started kind of performing and being not only a voice actor, but just performing in general? Has it always been something that you wanted to do since you were younger, or was this something that you developed into later on?
No, I mean, I've always loved say like putting on shows at home and running around talking in silly voices. I mean, bless him, my other half Lou says that I talk in other voices more than my own, like 90% of the time.
So, you've got a great voice. You've got a lovely voice.
Thank you. But yes, I've loved it since I was a young age, and I was going from job to job, and then Lou said to me, "Why don't you always wanted to go off to uni?" Because I didn't go straight from school, so I was like, I'm going to apply. And I super luckily got into a drama school called the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts. There's a plug. And it was, I loved it. I just had the most amazing time. And there I met my agents, Damn Good Voices. And then that's eventually led on to my acting agents, Anagram. But since then, I've been so fortunate to get involved with some amazing productions and be part of video games and get to work with some great companies doing voiceovers, and it's just been it's been so good. But I've been very, very fortunate. I've been very lucky so far with everything.
Touch wood, I hope so.
Please.
We've never lost our luggage. I agree. Like, you kind of put on shows, I guess, you know what I mean? You put on performances, whether it's like family members or friends or stuff. I've always been kind of creative that way, and I never thought, you would make it, do it as like a career. You know what I mean? It was always like so fun, just as a hobby. But the fact you go, I could actually try this out and go and study this was a big thing for me. I
know it's bonkers when you think that something that's brought us so much joy in our lives and that we've loved getting to do, and now we get to do it for a living. It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like when I was really, really young, do you remember Small Soldiers? Like one of the most awesome movies to come out in, like, was it like late 90s, early 2000s?
I think so. Yeah, 1989, something like that.
Yeah, around about then. And we had like aunties and uncles come over one night, and me and my dad put on a retelling of Small Soldiers that probably lasted about like 5 minutes. But I think it was literally just me like running around with a pretend like bow and arrow, just like jumping over settees. And how at the time I ever thought that was any form of entertainment, because probably every auntie and uncle was like, oh, for God's sake.
Right. I sometimes think back to that time, but I'm like, you're going to watch this and you're going to sit there and I'm going to do this.
And you will
Why
enjoy
would they
it.
want to do that?
Yes. And you will enjoy this.
I don't know why, but I would do it. Mine was Rowan Atkinson, the legend Rowan Atkinson. He was he used to do these stand-up shows that were like one-man shows, and it was like sketches and stuff like that, right? I would watch these sketches, and by the way, they were far too inappropriate for me at a young age, right? I'm talking when I was like really young.
Yeah.
And like I'm like watched it so many times, learned it, So I'm like doing the Rowan Atkinson sketch for like my gran. Like
yeah. There's the welcome. Have you seen the Welcome to Hell sketch?
That was the one. That was my favorite.
Is that the one? Or the
yes. that one or the one where he's like the teacher and he's like doing the register of all the kind of dirty names.
Oh no. Bottom, where are you? It's so good.
Bottom, yeah. It's so silly.
Oh no, it's so good. Like I always the one that I always used to love, and in fact there was a when was it? Year 11 in like media class in English. We had to create like a video that we could show to the entire class, and myself and one of my classmates, we recreated the sketch where the headmaster has called in the father to tell him that his son's died.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, what's it called?
He'd been died by oh my days. It's fatal beating.
Fatal beating.
It's like, well, it wasn't me that beat him to death. Well, that was perfectly obvious from the moment he arrived here.
That's so good.
So what happened? Well, apparently boys were just slipping into the library and taking the books. No, during the beating. Oh, that.
The justification of how you killed a child. They were just taking the books.
They were just taking books out of the library without checking them out. And so we had to beat him to death.
That's brilliant.
Oh, it's so dark.
Oh man, that one's good. And I also like the one where it's like date training, and he goes on his first date. And it's like, here's what to do.
This is better. This is slightly misguiding. It's like, yeah,
that's right.
So
just
good.
Stand there and look sexy.
Yeah. It's so good.
Brilliant. I've never met anybody that knows it as well as me.
Oh man, honestly, I think from like 2009 onwards, I started to like memorize all of these. There's one, if you've ever seen it, he was being interviewed on Parkinson, and he was asked to recreate this. I think it's a sketch that never made it to like the DVD, but it's he is doing what earth are they called? It's somebody reading a will. And he sort of talks down here like this. He's very weak. It's like, but he's reading out this will of this person that's passed away, and he just goes, "To my niece Winifred, whom I always promise to mention in my will. Hello." That's so simple, but it just it's the fact that he is just so universally funny because he doesn't have to say a word, and that's real comedy genius, to be able to be funny in any language whatsoever.
It's what made Mr. Bean so successful, like in like Japan and things like that. You would never expect like a BBC comedy show to be so big worldwide.
It's going to be huge, yeah. But yeah,
did you see Man vs. Bee, the new Netflix show?
I did. I came down with COVID in July, and on my very first day of being stuck in, I just binged the whole thing. I thought it was great. What do you reckon?
Me too. I just like, the way, because it looked, obviously it's he's older now, and it's on Netflix, and the trailer's quite like slapsticky or whatever. Obviously it's so people are like, oh, I'm not sure. So I was kind of on that bandwagon, thinking it's just going to be another one of those like Mr. Bean things, and I watched it, and I was absolutely howling. And people are just like, what is so funny about this? But as you say, I'm just a big fan of him. So it's the simple things that he does, that really just makes it. But I feel like we've not had something like that, like a kind of Naked Gun kind of esque. Physical comedy show in ages, and it was just so funny.
I just think we're really missing like just simple comedy movies at the moment. I think everything either, because I've certainly noticed a trend, like comedies can always either veer off to being like overly filled with like sexual references and innuendos, or they go like ultra like violent. I think we're just missing like simple, easy, fun comedies. But I suppose at the end of the day, the studios are probably going to argue not going to bring in as many seats as like a new big blockbuster, and that's it. And it's really sad that we're getting to that point where we're not seeing as many of these anymore. But you know, I suppose that is the benefit of things like Netflix, so we can get stuff like this.
Absolutely. Someone tweeted something earlier. What was I was going to find it. It's like they announced all the new Pixar stuff, and it's like it's like there's like a Lion King one. There's a Little, not Pixar, just Disney releases. There's like a Lion King one. There's a Little Mermaid one. There's an Inside Out 2, and there's nothing original. And people are going, "Oh, we're going to get this and we're going to get that," and then it's like, that's what's going to draw the business. Everyone's going to want to go and see Inside Out 2 instead of coming up with something really original. I just feel like that's the same with comedy just now, but it's always a sequel. It's always like something you know, and it's like there's no real. So that's probably what's good about that film you saw last night.
Totally,
you know,
totally,
quite original.
So original, so original, and as well, it kind of ties in to the Mousetrap, the actual the play itself. So it is very self-aware. It does kind of like not piggyback on, but it lives on the legacy of something already, but without it going, here's a movie adaptation of this successful thing. It's like, here's something so super original that is kind of like semi-tied to something. But yeah, it's just like any opportunity I've got to see something with Sam Rockwell, because like, have you seen the movie The Way Back?
No, but it is on my list.
This honestly is one of my top films of all time, because it is so easy, but it's a brilliant like coming of age comedy and drama, and it just Sam Rockwell just emanates coolness in this movie. It's just so good. But yeah, anyway, I'm divulging, but it's if I can recommend something to you, it's like a nice easy watch, it's The Way Back.
The Way Back. So, okay, I'll budget up into the top of my to watch list. Definitely need to check that one out.
I think it's on Disney Plus. I think.
Really?
I think. I'm hoping, because I think it's 20th Century Fox. I might be wrong, but it might be on there. All right.
Let's talk about just quickly your impressions, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I obviously taking over TikTok sensation. To be fair, I must admit, you know, I'm 25, right? But I always feel like I've missed the TikTok trend, because I'm just not in it, you know, as much as other people. I'm just not on there. So when something like this happens, I'm like, oh my god. As I was watching them on your Instagram and stuff like that over the past couple of weeks, and like they're just incredible. And obviously, I don't want to be like, here's, you know, I want you to do this, that. But what are some of your favorite ones? And what, like, how did you start going, right, okay, I can do this? I know obviously as an actor and as a performer, it's just what you do, you know, you do voices of things and that, you know.
Yeah.
But like, when did you realize that you were so good at them that you could do anybody at just like the drop of a dime?
I'll give over. It was, God, when would it have been? I mean, like, growing up, my mum always used to call me like a parrot, because I was always imitating whatever I saw on the screen. But I suppose, really, like, I was one of the Vine users. So, you know, for anybody that's never heard of Vine, it was like TikTok, but 6 seconds. And it was
never understood it. How could it be so like big, you know, and it was just 6 second videos.
6 seconds, but it was because you were able to create something so short that you knew was going to be watched again and again and again and again and again, and then somebody could just keep scrolling, and you would just, you know, you could burn through I don't know what 40 to 50 videos in like 10 to 20 minutes, something like that, and it was great. My maths might be totally wrong there, but you know what I mean.
No, I get you. Yeah,
you see a lot of content in a short amount of time, but So I created an account and was just coming up with like random comedy sketches, and then one day, this was just when the Desolation of Smaug was coming out, the second Hobbit movie. Which, I mean, I'm a Middle Earth nut, like an insane Middle Earth nut. So much so, I went to go and see Return of the King in IMAX last week.
Oh, nice.
That was didn't go and see the other two, but I went to go see Return of the King because I didn't realize they were showing them all. I turned to Luce and I said, I have to go and see Return of the King. I've not seen it in cinema since 2002, 3, something like that.
Oh my god, 2003, yeah, would have came out, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I have to do this. I think legally I have to do this now. But yes, so when the Destination Smaug was coming out, and we finally heard Smaug's voice on the trailer, and we heard what Cumberbatch had done for him, and I was just like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And I just filmed an impression of doing the Smaug voice on TikTok. Listen to me, on Vine, and it just went
right
and totally blew up. And then I was like, "Ooh, okay." So I just tried then practicing more and more and more, and I was like building a little repertoire of head.
Yeah.
But like Smaug was always the first one because he has a voice down here like this. And it was so terrifying, and it was so low as well. And I set myself the goal of being able to get that low without any of like the added effects. So I remember when he just kind of turned to him and goes, "You will take nothing from me, dwarf. I am king under the mountain." And it was just so terrifying in the cinema. I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this voice. So Smaug kind of started from there. So I'm like, okay, if we can go that low and that deep, the only way's up.
Right.
And then like Darth Vader starts coming in. It's like, oh God, what is it? I don't want to do the line in case no one's ever seen it. It's like,
"You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
Take her away. I want her alive."
Yeah. Yes.
I want them alive."
Yes.
"Don't make me destroy you."
That's just
Can you do Kylo Ren? The Kylo Ren one's good.
Oh yeah.
Because Kylo Ren is sort of here and he always sounds really moody, when he talks. But when he gets the mask on, he sort of talks down here and he's like, "I don't want to do that."
But yeah, Kylo Ren's like, he's like, "What girl?" Oh, it's so
what
good.
Girl? Yeah.
What
Blow
girl?
that piece of junk out of the sky.
Out of the sky. I know.
Yeah.
I love when people use the meme where it's like him shouting more. It's so good. It's like if ever like somebody's like there's been a reveal of a trailer or something, and I always hope I'm like, please, someone have used that meme directly underneath it just to be like, oh. Yeah, it's so good.
That's just brilliant. I don't know. Obviously, on your Instagram, you've got like the TikToks that maybe your partner did, where it was like, how many can you do under a minute or something?
Yeah,
and that's what was so impressive. It's just because you could just dip in between them. I just thought it was really good.
We've loved doing them. Just to be something just a little bit fun, because Lucy had a TikTok account. She was like, "Can I just film you and I'll just reel off voices and we see how you do?" And that very first Star Wars one, it just absolutely shot off into the stratosphere. Yeah. And I was like, we're just recording it literally in this room behind this drop. Right. And I was like, that's bonkers. Like, how are these many people wanting to watch this? But it was, it was great. It's been great fun doing them.
What are some of your favourite ones then? What is your favourite ones to do? Other than Smaug?
So Smaug's definitely one. I mean, on my TikTok, I did a series where it's like Boris Johnson and Donald Trump as roommates. But okay, that's maybe for another time. Let's keep this happy. Let's keep this happy. So I mean, those two are always just because the nonsense you can make them say to each other is great. I mean, I do love a good Ben Kenobi. So a good old Sir Alec Guinness is like, "Little one, come here." It's like, "Don't be afraid." And it's like, "Your father wanted you to have this when you were older." It's just got that beautiful old English, like heightened RP voice.
Did you not think that Ewan McGregor in the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series was kind of like Ewan McGregor doing an impression of
a little bit? Yeah, he was slowly getting there, wasn't he? Yeah,
he's trying to figure it out,
You could hear it slowly transitioning. It's like, "I have to do this for you." Like in 10 years,
you don't have to do that, Leia.
No, exactly. Leia, come back here. Like in 10 years, he's going to be so great. It's just so good. Gosh, Alec Guinness. I always love God. It's like, R2-D2, what are you doing? I don't like you either, you old brass bucket. And that's
the 3PO is amazing. The 3PO is brilliant.
Master, look, it is I, C3PO. You probably didn't recognize because of the red arm.
Brilliant line, yeah. That's good.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I also love going for a bit of Gandalf, sort of down here. And yes, we are going to take the ring to Mordor. Yes.
What about Dumbledore? Can you do Dumbledore?
Oh, yes. So it depends which one, because you've got.
I prefer Richard Harris.
Yeah, I think it would have been. I think it would have been the best Dumbledore. If we hadn't lost him, that would have been amazing. It's like, back again, Harry. It's just like,
this is what I didn't want this to turn into. I didn't want this to like shooting at characters at you.
I said, sorry about that. It's like, we haven't seen you since you were a baby, Harry. You shot up, especially around the middle. It's like, I'm not Harry. I'm Harry. Well, of course you are. It's so good.
That's good. Well, here's a segue.
All right,
do Mr. Miyagi or Daniel?
I've never been able to perfect those, but it's like, oh, come on, Mr. Miyagi. No, I was trying to think of them from the other night, but I think the closest one that I can get is what's his name? Is the coach of the Cobra Kai, and he's like, defeat is not an option in this dojo, does it? And he's
like a wavy kid.
Yeah, and he shouts, "What is the problem, Mr. Lawrence?" It's like, because I've got the Steelbook with me, so it's him. It's this guy. If anyone's looking on camera, it's this guy right here. But I'm like, what earth was his name? That's terrible, isn't it? Oh, that's terrible.
I can't remember either. But I mean,
he's only in it briefly.
Nice.
Well, thank you, thank you very much. It's a nice one, little Cobra Kai logo on the back. I've got.
Very nice.
I mean, our in the TikToks, you can see the bookcase that is just full to the brim of Steelbooks. It's a really, really bad obsession. It feels very good, but it's a bad obsession to have.
I got one. I got one for my birthday. I'm going to show you. Hang on.
Oh, please do.
I got a new one for my birthday. It's a Winter Soldier one.
Is it it's the shield.
How cool!
Oh, beautiful! Is it the hololithic one? Where on
it's got like a little. It's got a slip thing. It's from Zavi, I think.
Oh, yes, sir. I know. Yep. Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, beautiful.
Now,
is it the one where
this was a? Go on.
Is it the 4K release?
Yeah. I don't have a 4K TV, but it comes with 4K and normal.
Perfect. Yeah. That's a beautiful one. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh man.
My sister got me for my birthday because she's a huge Sebastian Stan fan for whatever reason. Nice. I don't know. So I think it was a more present for her than for me. But anyway, she got me.
Right. I just have to buy it.
Yeah. Okay, so when we were chatting about getting this going, it was like, okay, let's pick a favorite film, and it's the hardest question, especially when there's so many that you like. And you gave me a list, and I was like, I'd love to do Lord of the Rings, but I've not watched them in so many years. And doing 3 in the one would be a bit of a task, I think.
It is. It's a
challenge. So maybe if we do it, we could even in the future, if I eventually rewatch them, we could even do it one at a time.
With pleasure, yeah.
But then I've been dying to watch Cobra Kai because it's on social media all the time, and I was like, I really want to see it, So and then I'm this weird guy where I'm like, I don't want to watch a show until I've seen all the films again. So I'd only ever seen the first Karate Kid. I've not seen part 1 or part 2 or part 3
at all.
So at all ever. So So I'm going to go into that and then get into Cobra Kai. I know. Nice. But yeah, so we picked Karate Kid. What are your memories of watching this absolute classic from 1984?
I mean, this is such an incredible film. I saw it for the very, very first time when must have been 13 or 14, and I was on a camping trip with my folks, and we just sat down and watched it. And then ever since then, I think I used to watch it probably like once a month.
Wow.
But it's probably maybe about like once a month, and after that it then became a thing of maybe like once a year. And then in recent years I haven't been able to see, just because of the amount of other stuff that we've had coming out. I haven't done my usual like yearly watching of it, but it felt so good to sit down and see it again. But for me, it was especially at a time when I was in high school, and we all go through that stage where we all get either picked on or teased or bullied.
Right.
So it was nice to see a film that was like so anti-bullying, and it was like standing up against people that were just picking on you for no reason other than just trying to do the right thing. And it was done in the way in which it was learning how to look after yourself through defense. So instead of thinking, I need to get strong to be able to go and beat these bullies up, it's a way of, how can I defend myself so that I know I'm going to be fine? And my dad and me and my mum all used to do taekwondo when I was younger as well. So it was great seeing like a martial arts movie, but going from the perspective of someone that didn't really know much about martial arts to then being somebody that can go and, I don't want to give spoilers, but can go into a tournament and go against people that have been doing it for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
I'd like to think people have hopefully seen it.
This is what I mean. But, if people are watching this, surely they've seen the film. I always kind of base it with that. Like, I think I can spoil the film that we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right then. Yeah. But like for him to go and eventually win this entire thing, spoilers. Whoa! That's it. Cancelled.
Don't need to watch the other ones now.
No, exactly. Yeah. But to go and win this tournament where he's had 2 months of training. To go against people that have been doing it for probably most of their lives, it was a great message of that you can accomplish anything when you've got the right mentors and you have the right mentality and you've got the strength in yourself to go and do it. I love it. It's such a great film and it's filled with so many amazing messages, and they're attitudes that you can have throughout your entire life. I mean, I'd completely forgotten about a line that Mr. Miyagi says where he's like, when you are walking down a road, if you walk on the left side, you're safe. If you walk on the right side, you're safe. But if you're in the middle, you'll get squished just like a grape. So he said, apply that to anything in life. Have a vision, either be yes or no. But if you're, I'm not sure, just like a grape. I thought I was a wonderful metaphor. But loved
absolutely. It. This film, along with like things like, I don't know, like the Goonies, and like Stand By Me and other like classic and Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, you look at them as 80s films, right? And it's almost like 80s films it's like their own genre at this stage. And I always think like even like 90s films are like that as well, actually, and even early 2000s, those like superhero films are kind of like that as well, early 2000s. But yeah, like 80s films are so beloved and stuff, and they have a certain style. I don't know if it's the way, obviously it's the acting, but I don't know if it's the way the sound is recorded or it's the way it's written, but they all have this very like charming kind of sense to them, right? Because it's like this beloved era. And watching this last night, I was genuinely thinking this might be like the most 80s vibe. You know, in terms of just like obviously the clothes they wear, obviously, but just like the way that they have to move house and the kind of attitude towards school and going out on a date, going to the arcade, all these things.
Going to an arcade.
They represent like the 80s, right? Obviously, I'm just past the 80s, but like, you know, it seems in my head that is the 80s vibe. You know, I don't know how you feel about
that. Totally. Because like the fact that their date is going to an arcade and then they go into the photo booth. And that, you know, there's no cameras, there's no selfies. It's just the only photos we're going to get together are if we pay money to go and sit in that photo booth and have them done. And the cars and just, and I thought it was really interesting as well, seeing that clear divide between the rich and the poor in America, because that was certainly prevalent in, especially places like California, where the rich people that are known as the hills will kind of like look at those that don't live in their area and be like, you're not going on a date with him, are you? Ooh.
Right.
And so one character even like describes Daniel as fungus. You know, I'm like, come on. But yeah, it's I thought that was a really interesting thing that I picked up on. And the music. Oh, literally, I was talking to Luce about this today because it was hearing Bananarama's "Cruel Summer" come on, and I'm like,
right,
it's that peak '80s sound where it's like synth mixed with like drums, and then you had all the vocals that are like so well blended together.
Yeah.
And I was walking around the flat, literally getting ready for this recording today, singing "Cruel Summer," and Luce's like, what are you singing? How do you not know this? So I asked the HomePod to play it, and she was like, I've never heard this in my life. I'm like,
wow,
what? But yeah, so it's but yeah, and all the music that's used, and the fact that like we get more like rocky kind of sounds when the guys are on their bikes, and I think the music for me sells it as so 80s. Because it's the kind of music that just transports you back instantly.
I was just going to say, what's the song the "You're the Best Around" song? Joe
Espirito? Oh, I'm not sure.
I don't know, but that song when he's like going into the tournament and stuff like that.
Oh,
yes. When I hear that, I just immediately see this film. Obviously, you know.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic
song. Instantly. It's like because if you've not seen the second one, they use I think it's called "Man of Honor" or something like. We'll live forever. No. Oh no. "Glory of Love." Sorry, not "Man of Honor." Listen to me. There's a song called "Glory of Love." I cannot, for the life of me, remember the artist. Yeah, this song plays at the end of the second Karate Kid movie in the credits. By Peter Cetera. Peter Cetera, that's it. Honestly, that is, I think, one of those songs that I had on constant repeat growing up. And although it's not in the first one, but I whenever I hear the songs that I immediately transport me back to the movie, it's just great. And it's also hearing the whenever there's you see the beach shots, and it then cuts to like Mr. Miyagi, and he's out on the wooden pole, and he's doing the crane technique. It's just such a good film. It's so good. It's so good. I'm just like, I just want to go see it again. I'm like, there's a lot I need to see, but I'm just like, I could watch it over and over and never, ever, ever get bored of this film. Never.
Yeah, one of those films. And it's so funny how, you know, there's so many classics that you would just happily watch over and over again. But like that's why the watch list gets built up so much, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I really want to watch these new films, but Jaws is on.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. It's, I
like when like there's maybe like a song that is from another thing that is like maybe like an actual song like by an artist that someone they've bought the rights to for, you know, for the film. And it's funny how it just music works in all sorts of ways that way in film. Like even when I was watching Spider-Man No Way Home the other night, when the credits roll, I think the song was like Three's a Crowd they play or something like that.
Yes.
Or Three's Company. And I was like, they should have played Hero by Chad Kroeger.
Oh.
Like, you know what I mean? It's a throwback. That's the one I associate with Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It just shows when the right music is picked for the right moment, it just works so well. And it's a really underappreciated job. Whoever it is that actually chooses what songs, not necessarily the soundtrack, but if you choose a specific song to go into the soundtrack of a movie, it's such an underappreciated job, because it really, really does help like build the world. So like one of my favorite film is Moulin Rouge, and the fact that utilizes songs that we know and love already, but turns them into something completely different. It's just such a powerful technique. Really, really, really powerful.
Absolutely. You mentioned Rocky a minute ago, which is so funny because I was thinking that earlier on when he's doing the tournament and it's like this guy that's not had a lot of training or whatever. I was kind of thinking, I kind of like the fact that he doesn't come in and just like wipe the floor with everybody. You know, he gets beat up, you know, much like Rocky, you know. he's not, you know, this big polished boxer, but he's got the most heart, so he wins the fight, you know. So it's kind of the same that way. What did you think of watching the tournament or the end fight this time round? Is it just as kind of fulfilling as watching it before?
Oh, totally is, yeah. Because I mean, you know, if you've seen it once, you're waiting for the infamous lines of "sweep the leg," or then you get you know, he goes into that crane technique, and you're like, okay, this is it. This is the deciding point. In that, and we even heard Mr. Miyagi earlier on say in the film that it's one of those moves that if you can do it and you do it correctly, there's no defense against it. And it's the fact that that's what Daniel chooses in that last moment. This is his final moment to prove that he can do it. He knows that if he gets this right, he'll never have an issue ever again. There's no way that they can fight back against this, and that he'll have proven that he's better than them, and he doesn't need to be afraid of them anymore. And they've got they are not allowed to come at him ever again. And I just loved it. I love every time that I do it. And when that kick lands and the music swells and you're like, yes, it's just great. Because I mean, we all wish that we could, you know, turn around to our bullies of the past and just go, there you go. But it's so satisfying when that happens.
Yeah. The character of Johnny is such a weird kind of looking villain, but like he's that kind of
really
snidey kid, you know, that's like just
exactly.
And it's an 80s again, it's an 80s bully, but it works because it's just like you would want to punch him in the face, you know?
Totally, you totally would do. And he's just he's got the old infamous like ex-boyfriend look. It's the kind of guy that like he would like look stereotypically like more attractive than you. You know, he's from a rich family and he's from the same kind of area as Ali that like Dan's fallen for. And so it's, you know, and he's come from a really wealthy background and he looks good and he's fit and he's the leader of his like friend group and he's also the top of his class in terms of with the Cobra Kai. And it's that kind of thing where it's like, it's that infamous meme and it's like you versus the guy she it tells you how kind of thing. So it's I think he's just looking at him here, he's a really like interesting looking villain. Really interesting. But
I was about to say good hair, but it's not good hair at all, really.
Probably at the time it was like, oh my god, Johnny. but now it's a bit like, mate, the guy needs to get that either like swept to the side so he can see where he's punching. But yeah, I love it. It's just such a great film. But honestly, Matt, if you've not seen, I think the second one, I prefer it over the third.
Okay.
And I'd say I saw the very first episode of Cobra Kai, and to be brutally honest, I don't think you need the third Karate Kid film, but certainly the first maybe like 10 minutes of Karate Kid 2 are, I'd say, like needed. I know it sounds so daft, but it's because you see what happens straight after the tournament.
Really?
That
okay.
That's but then as I've seen from a poster, a character that was in the third Karate Kid film is now back in the show and has quite an integral part. So I think they've made them all totally relevant.
Okay, cool.
It just depends if they bring Hilary Swank into the series now.
That's true. I wrote down, like, sometimes I feel like this film just kind of ends, you know, like he wins the tournament and that's it.
Totally does. Yeah, it does.
You know, but like, I quite like that, you know, I quite like the fact that we don't need all this other stuff. Sometimes I feel like, you know, films, once they reach the climax, it kind of like goes to extra things. It just ends. Yeah. That's the end of the tournament. You know, he's won, we're happy.
He's won, bang,
you know?
done. We see Mr. Miyagi smile, everyone comes on, cheers him, done. That's it, over. But I suppose then that's when you get lovely things that happen in the second film, which like...
Okay.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing what you reckon when you've seen it, because it's so satisfying. Like, so satisfying.
I'll definitely let you know. I mean, it's that face of Mr. Miyagi, you know, it's like that infamous look where he's so proud, you know.
So proud, and the little tear in his eye as well.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of those single tear people. Would
you make him Mr. Miyagi? Just total legend, right?
Oh, I love him. I absolutely love him. I think it's what I adore, though, is that we see elements of his life, but it's not just kind of like so explicitly laid out. So Daniel picks up a medal and he just looks at it and goes, Valor. There's no Mr. Miyagi turn around saying, I was awarded this medal, or I did that and I did this. And it's the fact that he only reveals details about his past because he's so completely hammered and he's about to fall asleep, and he's like recreating a conversation he's had with a commanding officer. It's brilliant writing because he's such a mysterious character, but you learn teeny tiny little bits about him as the film goes on. That's the messages that he gives. And I think for me, I just love the fact when Daniel says to him, he's like, you're the best friend that I've ever had. And Mr. Miyagi just turns to him and goes, you're pretty okay too. I'm like, oh my God. And he just walks out and he says, here's your second birthday present, points to all the cars and just says, choose.
Yeah.
Oh,
you want a friend like him,
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the free cars, but
the free car, yeah. It's like the sense of community, though. Like they move to this new city, and this could, if this film was made now, right? We'll talk about the 2010 one in a second. But if this film was made now, and it was this exact same film, shot by shot, and it's almost like that would be a kind of joke thing, right? How the young boy goes and speaks to this strange man, in this new kind of run-down kind of area. I would kind of be leaned into in a different way. But again, it maybe goes back to the kind of 80s style, or maybe it's just because it's a more wholesome film. But it's like that friendship they have and that kinship that not only does Daniel have with him, but even Daniel's mum. Like she's it's like a nice wee kind of community of friends and people at the end of it, rather than this kind of like strange thing that could have been built upon. I really like that.
Yeah.
I like the relationship,
Yes, yeah, beautiful sense of community, because it's the fact like Daniel chucks his bike into the skip, and the next day he wakes up and it's been fixed and it's clean and it's been done for him. Didn't even have to say a word. And when it came to when Daniel's mum comes to pick him up, she's like, "How much do I owe you for it?" And he's like, "Oh no.
Absolutely."
And it just you don't get characters like that these days. That are just
that's that, isn't it? Like it's the way it's written. Like it's a total wholesome character, and I feel like you do get that these days when it's like brought back. There's no originals like characters like him that just stand the test of time. I just think he's brilliant. So you mentioned you've seen the first episode of Cobra Kai. Have you watched any more of it, or is it something you can?
No, literally just the first one. I think, to be honest, I don't know if I actually finished the whole thing. It was one of those ones where you're eating dinner and you just put something on just to be like easy. I think we saw like the first half of it, and then just with everything else that came on, we just never got round to going back and finishing it. But I think given this latest rewatch, I think I'll be starting it soon. I'm working my way through one show at the moment, so I think when that's done, I'll get back to watching it.
Okay, cool. What show is that?
I think that's the plan. So to kind of like chill and relax at night, I've been working through The Big Bang Theory since February. Back when I watched it every single week when it was on.
Me too.
But then the last two seasons I didn't see. So I'm at the end of season 10 now, and I have no idea what's going to happen. I still don't know how the show ends. Don't know what happens with any characters.
Mate, honestly, I am exactly the same. This is
really
exactly happened to me.
Really?
Every week I was watching it up until about season 7 or something like that. Kind of fell off a little bit, and then the start of lockdown, I said, it's all on Netflix. I'm going to go back and watch it. So I watched the whole thing on Netflix during lockdown and didn't watch season 10. So I have no idea how it ends. I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, we go. So we're going to have to finish it together, man. This is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to finish it. But yeah, like, I don't know what happens. I'm like, does Sheldon and Amy stay together? I'm like, what happens?
Yeah. Maybe we should watch it at the cinema, and we'll go and sit on the different seats and we'll go,
It's just I love though when he finally settles down in that seat and it's the and the TX section, he goes, oh yeah, this is it.
Yeah, hard work paying off.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favourite episode of Big Bang?
I
know it's hard, but I've got one in my head that I like.
Oh my days. I think anywhere they kind of like do any like costume related things. See, for me, it's no, I tell you what on earth am I talking about? I know the episode. It's when they get the copy of the One Ring. That's it. They're all fighting over who's going to get the One Ring, and I every time something really, really makes me laugh in the show, I film it on my phone. And so I keep it as like a rewatch, and it's just when Sheldon has the ring and he's washing it under the tap, and he's like, "My love, my precious," and he looks up at the mirror and he just sees himself as Gollum, and it's Sheldon's scream. Now, anyone that's a Big Bang Theory fan, like Sheldon's scream is so high and so loud that it is just unbelievably funny.
That's a really good one. I always like that one because he has to go pee.
Yeah.
You know, and you hold it and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But my favourite one is the card tournament against Will Wheaton. You know,
he's like,
Bunny. Now fetch me Will Wheaton. That was my favourite one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was so good.
It's like, well, I call my Meemaw Nanny, and she's going to be glad to know that I did it with you. And he plays that card. He's like, Wheaton. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
That's one of my favourite ones. Or the one where they flash back to when Leonard and Sheldon first start living together. And they show you how the lift is broken.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. Do you reckon? Oh, see, I know that if you listen to this and you've already finished Big Bang Theory, but I'm like, I wonder if the lift is going to get fixed by the end of the show. I wonder if the lift will actually get fixed. I really hope it does. I would love it if, say, like, oh, imagine if that's how the show ends. They all like get into the lift and it goes down. And oh, okay.
Or maybe it breaks again whilst they're in the lift and they're not able to get out. Twist.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. This is how the show. They all die. Or it was all a dream. It was all a dream.
Oh, that's what it's going to be, isn't it? It's going to hold a dream.
No.
Yeah. Just quickly, I'll mention the new Karate Kid film that they did in 2010 with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, yeah.
Did you get to see it at all? What did you think of that?
I remember sitting down and watching it, but I couldn't tell you a single thing that happens.
Yeah.
That's and it's probably terrible to say, but I can't. I think there was like a recreation of the infamous Mr. Miyagi fight where he's taking on all of the Cobra Kai lads.
Right.
I think there was a scene like that where it's like in the middle of the street, but I'm being brutally honest, I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I think I watched it when it came
really
out.
liking it. You know, really? I remember really liking it, and I remember thinking it was like, you know, I thought that was what the Karate Kid was, and then as I got older, I was like, oh, there's actually these classic films, whatever. I'm a huge Jackie Chan fan. I do love him.
Nice.
Recently read his book, you know, and I think Jaden Smith does a really good job. But this is when like Jaden was like positioned as he's going to be the next, you know, huge star.
Yeah,
you know, because he's so young, and he just had a song with like Justin Bieber at the time, and that's like in the credits and stuff. So it's like a huge thing. Yeah. I guess that's why he was casting it. But it's really good, and there's a scene where Jackie Chan gets really emotional when he's sitting at his car and he like breaks down into tears, and it's one of the first times I was like, Jackie Chan like can really do these emotional scenes. You always have in your head Jackie Chan is like this incredible martial artist and stuff, but so I mean I would maybe give it a rewatch, but obviously it's probably not going to hold up, you know, towards the 80s films, but I did enjoy it at the time, I remember. Just closing up here, what about, so this is the Good Bit podcast, of course. We always talk about best bits in films. Tell me what you think the best bit of the Karate Kid is.
Ooh, other than like the final like 5 minutes, other than the big fight against Johnny, I think it has to be the whole Halloween segment. So from going from like pouring water on Johnny in the bathroom to then it's the chase and then the fight that like starts it all, where, you know, it's you know, they're all beating up Daniel, and then you just see Mr. Miyagi climb over that fence and jump down and then just take on them all. It's probably the Mr. Miyagi fight, I think, is the pinnacle of that movie.
Yeah,
what about you?
That's great. I like just his training, like when Mr. Miyagi's like absolutely hammered, as you say, and he's like sleeping, he still goes out the next morning and he's still doing it, that kind of like redemption where he's really fighting for it, you know. And all the techniques, you know, whether it's wax on, wax off, or up and down with the paint and stuff, they kind of seem like, you know, like acting warm-ups at this point, do you know what I mean? Because we're always like trying to warm it. I always watch that thinking, what's he doing, you know, what is that actually going to do it? But then you see it in the fight, and I love the fact he's using some of them in the fight, you know, like totally. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's just a brilliant film. It's a reason why it's a classic. It's just absolutely amazing. But yeah,
Totally.
that's what I'm going to cast my vote.
I'll watch the second one, right, and then I'll definitely I'll message you and I'll see if you want to jump back on and we'll do the second one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's it's a cracking film. It's so different, but it's great. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Where can the people contact you? Where are you online? Social media?
Social media. My username is that happy chap. That's where anybody can find me, and it is across the board. So that is Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's all one thing. If anybody wants to see any of like the impression videos that Lucy and I do, these quick fire ones that we mentioned, it's Lucy_and_Greg.
Nice.
Yeah, you'll never guess who runs that account. I think
it's Lucy and Greg. You know, I
was like, oh yeah. That's how you can find me. So yeah, my username across the board is that happy chap.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the impressions. Such a delight speaking to you.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah,
and maybe when I get to Karate Kid 2, we can do a sequel here on the podcast.
That sounds like a plan to me. Let's do it. Yes.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for listening and for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you all down the road.
Citizens